Testing. All right, so boom, 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 boom. Okay, so how many of you in here own a business? Okay, how many of you work for a company? No? All of you own your own business. Great. So I've got my agenda, but my agenda doesn't really matter. Okay? So I coach and consult business owners all over the country. Only take on 10 one-on-one clients, and then I do some group masterminds. I do a lot of speaking across the country. I've built 7 different companies over the last 28 years, and 3 of them multi-million-dollar businesses. Now, the only reason I tell you that is not to say great for me, but to give you an idea of, hey, while I'm here, we can go in any direction you guys want to go, okay? I can talk about sales, I can talk about marketing, I can talk about firing people, hiring people, reducing turnover. What is the biggest challenges? I want to hear from you guys. What are the biggest challenges that the number one challenge you have in your business right now? Let's kind of go around the room so I can get a kind of an idea of what we're talking about here. Let's go this way.
Good help.
What was that?
Good help.
Good help.
That's what I would say, good help.
Good help.
Same thing, retaining good people.
Good people.
Client management.
Client management.
Competing with internet leads.
Competing with
the internet quotes.
Because you're in mortgage, right?
Yeah.
So competing against online mortgage, all the commercials and all that stuff that's going on, right? Okay.
Finding good help.
Finding good help.
Lead generation.
Lead generation.
For me, I haven't really found too many problems yet since I'm so new with my company. So.
Okay. What kind of business do you do?
What?
What kind of business do you do?
Sorry.
What kind of business do you do?
Landscaping.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I just run it by myself at the moment. So.
Okay, so you're about to have some people problems. Okay.
Eventually.
Okay. Go ahead. Employees?
Definitely good help.
Definitely good help. Marketing?
I'd say it's the sales cycle because I'm like kind of a one-man show, so I do sales leads and do the work
Okay.
for the next lead.
Okay.
Qualified people to
Qualified people to do the work,
yes.
right?
Keeping up with the cost of my kids.
Keeping up with the cost of your kids. I love it. Okay. So every single, I'm going to give you a book real quick, okay? It's called Clockwork. It's by Mike Michalowicz. Kind of sounds like Mike Michalowicz. So M-I-C-H, okay? That's going to solve all your people problems. All right, we're done. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so the thing is with people, there are 3 ways to solve people problems. There's 3 ways to solve any problem that you have in your business. Sales, marketing, execution. It's as simple as that. The more sales you have and the better marketing you have and the degree that you take execution, you can always hire somebody to have great employees, right? How many of you like managing employees? Not a single hand. Do you know that there are people out there that love managing employees? They love recruiting employees. They love hiring employees. They have that gift within inside of them to attract, retain, recruit, and get more out of people. And the thing is what's the biggest challenge with that? Costs, right? So if you were able to double your sales, would cost be an issue?
No.
Okay? So if you had the marketing, and how many of us guess with our marketing? We think this is going to work, and we try it out, and then you're right, and we go, crap, that didn't work. And then we try this, and we're all excited, and it doesn't work again. How many of you relate to that besides me? Okay? So it starts with marketing and putting the right bait out there in the world to get the right customers. And the more customers that you have, how many of you got customers you don't like? Okay? We all have customers we don't like. In fact, one of the biggest things that I would recommend when you are looking at your customer base is go and make a list of all the customers that you have, and the ones that are not considered what I would call your wow clients, I would lay out a plan to fire their butt. or turn them around. How many of you understand brand new clients, a lot more new clients, you can fire the old ones? Right? And so let's talk about the one thing that's going to drive everything else in your business, and that comes down to sales. Now, sales is broken down into we have a lead, marketing's already done their part, and now we have a lead, right? And we have to contact that lead, and we have to set an appointment with that lead, or they come in as a customer, and it all comes down to, how we walk them through that process. But now I want to reverse engineer it all the way back to how do we get more leads? How do we get more referrals? How many of you, when you look at your business and you look at the profitability of your business, how many of you would agree with me that a referral is probably the most profitable client you got?
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Least amount of headache, least amount of cost to acquire, right? And the cool thing is they don't give you a runaround because somebody else thought very highly of you to refer you. Now, how many of you have a referral actual system in place? Okay? Cool. Let me actually explain to you my definition of a referral system, and then I'm going to ask that question again. How many of you know going into a given month how many referrals you're going to get, when they're coming to you, and on what day they're coming to you? Now, based off of that definition, how many of you have a referral system in place? Like clockwork, man. Every time I give this talk, I ask the question, how many of you have a referral system in place? 3 or 4 people raise their hand. I give a new definition. Everybody's hands go down. Now, the thing I'm excited about that is every single one of you are going to have a referral system in place today. It all comes down to execution. I'm going to give it to you on a silver platter. You're not going to have to call me, contact me, engage with me, or anything. I'm going to give it to you on a silver platter. I'm recording it. I'm going to have James, my video guy, cut this up and send it back to you, so you're going to actually have it recorded. So you don't have to sit here and take notes unless you want to. This is also being broadcast live on Facebook, and I'm going to share this on you guys' page. So you have it today. Okay? So let's talk about referrals. Let's talk about how do we create a referral system. Again, we all talked about, okay, we would like to have more great clients. Right? Okay? Now, how do you know who your great clients are? It's very simple. When they call you on your cell phone, and you look at your cell phone and you see them on caller ID, what's your expression? Right? Are you like, fuck, damn it. What do they want now? And you send them a voicemail? That's not the client you're looking for. How many of you got clients like that again? Right? You got a lot of those clients. No, what you're looking for is the clients that call you. You look at your phone, you're like, if you're not in a meeting, you go, what's up, man? How many of you like to have all those types of clients? Okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a list of the top 10, 20 clients. The more you do this with, the better. So make a list of your top 10, top 20 clients. These are the clients that you just enjoy doing business with. Now, they got to be profitable. Let's face it, I can like you all I want. But if I'm not making money in this relationship, we're just friends. You're not a client, right? And so I'm looking for what are my top 10 to 20 customers or clients. I want to make a list. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to describe them in detail. What are the details that describe my client? Depends on your industry. So it could be they're male, they're female, they make a certain amount of money, they live in a certain place, they live in a certain house, maybe they're married, maybe they're single, maybe they drive a certain car, maybe they're in a certain industry. Whatever those details are that matter in your industry, you're going to list those right next to them. Then what I want you to do is I want you to describe what is that wow experience for you. What makes them a great client for you? And it really is personal. Okay? Maybe they pay on time. What a novel concept, right? Maybe they don't give you a hassle when you're dealing with them. Maybe they never do a refund. Maybe you have this engagement with them and you really enjoy being with them. Okay? Maybe they refer you business. What is it that makes it a great client for you? And I want you to write that down. Now, once you've done those three things, and this is a very important exercise before you even get into the referral systems, is I want you to look back on it and highlight all the stuff that's common. And what's going to come out of that is now you're going to have a very clear definition of what an ideal client is for you. Now, I'll give you a secret, a hack on this. Do this every 6 months. Because you change as a person, your business evolves, your business changes. The client I was coaching 4 years ago, I don't even coach those kind of clients no more. I was only working with salespeople for about 2.5 years, and I got frustrated because I would fix their sales and then there was nothing else to do. And then I started working with business owners because the more I fix their sales and marketing, the more problems it creates. How do you understand? The more problems, the bigger you grow and the more customers you take on, the bigger problems you have. And if you don't have enough problems in your business right now, you're probably not taking enough action. Right? If your goal in life and business is to have everything just run completely smooth, it ain't ever going to happen. It can happen for you as an owner because I can always hire people to take all the headache crap off my plate that I don't want to deal with. But in all time that you're going to be in business, we get paid in direct proportion to the business problems we solve for our customers. Am I right or am I wrong? Right? The more complex problems that we solve, the more money we make. And the more problems we solve, the more money we make. So now that I know who my perfect client is, now what I can do is I can work on my marketing. So before I do that, let me share with you a story. I took on a client. He's in LeTip. He actually is the guy that got me in LeTip. Been working with him for 4 years. A guy named LeTip. He owns a company called Calm Computing in Sacramento. And a lot like a lot of entrepreneurs, he started his business 7 years prior to he and I meeting. And he had a contractor. And he had another contractor. Because he's like, you know what, I don't want to hire no freaking employees. They're a pain in the ass. Right? How many of you kind of understand what I'm talking about, right? And so he went on and on and on and got stuck and couldn't go beyond where he was at. Now, the other challenge he had is he's a computer engineer, a quote-unquote non-salesperson. How many of you have a resistance to sales? Okay? Same thing with LeTip. Had a resistance to sales. But what he didn't understand is he had been in business for 7 years. Now here's a golden nugget for you. He had been in business for 7 years. He had all these customers that absolutely loved him, but yet was still sitting back waiting for an organic referral. What he didn't learn is how to go fishing inside his own customer base. So imagine your top 10 customers. Just imagine real quick your top 10 customers. How many of you would like to have 10 more just like them within the next month? Okay? How many of you would agree that they probably know 4 other people just like them? Is that fair? Right? Just 4. So that means if you have 10, there's 40 referrals sitting there, right? All we got to do now is design what kind of bait to use to go and capture 4 more just like them. And then we need to turn that into a system that can be followed over and over and over again that ultimately can be transitioned to someone else to do. That way you can go off and travel and do whatever it is that you want to do. Okay? And so, how many of you know where Apple Hill is? Placerville, right? Up above in Camino. So, I have, well, he's 12 now. Well, actually, he's 12 now. Where's he at? He's probably about right here, right? He's like, Dad, man, I got like a half more inch and I'm going to be as tall as Mom. Yeah. How many of you remember growing past your mom or your dad or your parents, right? That was a cool age, right? And so 3 years ago, I'm with his best friend, David. They had met, God, when they was 3.5 years old, and they're still friends today. But we go up to this place called High Hill Ranch up in Apple Hill. And they have this lake or this pond there, and they stock it full of catfish. And so you go, there's a shack there, you go and you rent the pole, and they get choice of 3 baits: hot dogs, worms, or salami. And I'm like, we want to go fishing. And they got the little red bobber and stuff. And so we go over there, and the guy goes, well, what kind of bait do you want? I go, well, it's fish, dude. I mean, give me the worms. I'm like, okay. So we go over there. I put the worm on the hook, throw it in the lake, put the worm on Preston's hook, throw it in the lake, and we're sitting there. And we're sitting there. And we're sitting there. I mean, nothing's happened. About 15 minutes later, this other kid and his dad goes and gets a pole and goes across the other side of the lake, puts some bait on the hook, throws it in the pond there, and within about 3 minutes catches a fish. I'm like, maybe the fish are over there. So I reel in both hooks, and I just like chuck it way out there, and we're sitting there waiting and waiting. Meanwhile, this dude catches a second fish. I'm like, shit. And then he pulls it in, and about 7 minutes later catches another fish. And I think Dad finally, it clicked for Dad. He's like, wait, you can't catch and release at this pond. It's $14.99 a pound, and that they're going to fillet the fish for you. So he's like, hey, Junior or whatever, we got to go, man. And so they start walking towards the shack, and I'm going, I'll be right back. I come over there and I go, what kind of bait are you using? What are you doing? He goes, we're using the hot dogs. I'm like, give me the freaking hot dogs. You know? And so I go over there, I reel in David's pole, I put the hot dog on there, take the worm off, chuck it out there, reel in Preston's. As I'm putting the hot dog on Preston's hook, David gets a bite. So I had to drop it, I reel it in, get the fish, and the little hook thing got stuck. He had to come over with the pliers and pry it out. And so I said, okay, so I finally tossed Preston's pole in, tossed David's pole back in. About 3 minutes later, we catch another one. And then we catch another one. And then we catch another one. Now, I'm not as sharp as the other dad. Okay, I'm a little slow. I dropped out of high school in the 11th grade. I only went back and got my GED, okay? And so I'm not not that sharp. So 7 fish later and $146 later, okay, for 7 freaking catfish, I learned one of the best marketing lessons I've ever learned in all the years I've been in business. And that is this. When you use the right bait for the right prospect or fish, you can have as many of those fish as you want. I could have went and got another stack of hot dogs and probably came back with 25 fish. Now, how does this relate to what we're talking about? You have a captured audience of clients that you already love. We want more people just like them, right? And so what we got to figure out is what kind of bait to use to put on our hook to throw it out there in the market and not guess with our marketing, and we can reel in and have as many of those clients as we want. So how many of you like to know actually how to do that step by step? Okay, here's what you do. Now that we've identified our top 10 or 20 clients, we've already, deciphered them, and we've described what our perfect client is. Now what we're going to do is exactly what I did to figure out what the bait was. I'm going to go ask. I'm going to call my client up, or I'm going to send him a kind of a short 3 to 5 question survey. Now I have all this. I'll if you grab my card, I will. Actually, I have all your emails because you're in LeTip. I'll just email it all to you. Okay. So, but you go to your client. I would send them the questions via email on one day, and then the next day I'd call them up and go. I'd just say, hey, I just need 5 minutes of your time. And I would call up your client and go, hey, Joe, this is John. Hey, John, what's up? Because keep in mind, this is my favorite client. I must be his favorite vendor if I truly have the relationship. And I want to call him up and I want to kind of do a dialogue that goes like this. Hey, man, I got I'm making some significant improvements into my marketing right now. And what I've discovered through this process is I want more clients just like you. I like having you as a client. After doing all this stuff, the research that I've done in this exercise that this dude came up here and ready to give me, after I'd done all the research, I discovered I actually like you. He's like, really? Yeah. I'm just kidding. You just tell, hey, I actually like you. I want more clients just like you. Can you help me with about 5 minutes of your time? I got a couple of questions for you. And he or she is going to say yes, if you have that relationship. And here say, first question, if you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you refer me? If you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you refer me or my business? And he or she is going to say yes. Now, of all the years I've been doing this, I've only gotten 2 no's. Because that's really the biggest fear that we have as business owners is like, I don't know that I want to ask that question, man. What if they say no? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. And so, if they say no, just simply say, hey, what can I do? What can I change, add, or modify to turn you into a yes? Can you give me 2 or 3 weeks to make that happen and I want to get back together? And they'll say yes. Okay? But 99% of the time, they're going to say yes. Now, your next question, the follow-up to that, because this is where it's going to really help with your marketing. If you were talking to the person that you are going to refer me to, words are key. If you were talking to the person you are going to refer me to, did everybody get that? Okay? Subliminally, okay? What would you actually say? What would you say about me? What would you say about my company? And this is where you want to take notes. What would you'd tell them that? Okay. Oh, so we're fast turnaround. We do a quality job. We do it better than anybody else in town. My people are very nice. Is that right? Yeah. Great. All right. Let me repeat back to you what I think I just heard you say, and you repeat it back to them word for word. And when they say yes, here's what you're going to do. Hey, Joe, do you mind if I actually draft this in an email and send it to you just to make sure I got the wording down? And what I need from you, and I'm asking you a question here, is if I've got the wording down, can I use this quote with your name in my marketing? And he or she's going to say yes. And you tell them, hey, and the reason is because I want to reference you because I want to get you some free marketing. Because this is going to go out to thousands of people. And he's going to say yes. Okay? And now that I've done that with my 10 clients, I've got 10 quotes. And here's the magic. I'm going to take all 10 quotes with my highlighter and I'm going to highlight all the common words that they say about me. Which is going to give me the keywords I need for my social media, my marketing, my 30-second commercial. I'm going to start seeding those keywords everywhere. That's the difference between the hot dog and the worm. I'm going to start using the words that capture the fish I want versus thinking I know what's going to capture them. I'm going to go to my clients and they're going to tell me what to use. Then I'm going to give it to my web guy. I'm going to give it to my content writer. All the people that handle all that marketing stuff, I'm going to make sure that all my employees are on the same page. How many of you understand, if you want great employees, you want employees to bust their butt for you? Do an assessment on that employee that measures behaviors, driving forces, motivators, what drives them on a personal level, and competencies. Understand what their uniqueness is. Take all the crap off of your plate that you don't want to do, that their skills, that they would actually love to do, and go, here you go. Right? Tell them what to do. Give it to them. And then the hardest thing that you got to do as a business owner is not take it back. Because how many of us, we delegate, I'm kind of getting off subject here, but we kind of delegate and we explain it to them, and then they come back and ask questions, and we answer those questions, and they go off and they do their work. And then we're over here, we're doing our work, and then they come back and ask questions, and we pause and stop what we're doing, and we answer their questions, and then, you got it? Great. Okay. And then we go back and do our work, and then they come and ask more questions. Does everybody relate to what I'm saying? Right? Well, how about this? How about, you know what? The reason I hired you is to figure this out. I trust that you're going to do a great job. Any questions? No? You don't need to. Here's the deal. You get 2 questions from me every month. That's it. 2 questions. Other than that, this part of my business is now yours. That's hard. But I promise you this, if you do it and you empower them, they will step up to the plate if you've given them the right work for their behavior type and their personality type. Okay? So the other thing I'll do for every one of you in here is I have an online assessment. I'm going to send you the link. It's a business owner link. Don't share this with your employees. But it'll give you an idea of what the assessment does. Take the assessment yourself. It'll automatically send it to you. I'll send you a self-debriefing guide so you can debrief yourself. And you'll see what I'm talking about because it's going to pinpoint you with about 94% accuracy. You're like, shit, man, if I knew this about my employees, I can take this and this and this and I don't have to deal with it no more. Okay? So let's get back to referrals. So now that we know what kind of bait to use, we're going to do that within our marketing. After before we get off the phone with our client, we're going to ask them a third question. Because we asked them, hey, if you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you? And they said yes. Then we asked them what would they say. We wrote all that down, got their permission to use it in our marketing. We're going to take those 10 quotes or 20 quotes and we're going to find those keywords. But before we get off the phone, the magic move is this. You know what, Joe? When I asked if you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague and you said yes, who are you thinking about? Zip it. Don't talk. Who were you thinking about? Well, no. Who are you thinking about right now? And they're going to tell you. Now, they may come back with a name. 50% of the time, they're going to do that. The other 50% of the time, here's what's going to happen. They're going to say, let me think about it. How many of you have asked for referrals and the person said, let me think about it? Right? Okay? So we got to have something that we do when they say they want to think about it. And so here's what you do. You say, you need to think about it. Great. Today's Friday. Do you think that between now and next Tuesday, is that enough time to think about it? And they're going to say yes. Great. Can I call you at 1 or 2 in the afternoon next Tuesday to have this conversation again? And they're going to say yes. And then here's what you got to do. You say, you know what? I'm going to make this even easier for you, Joe. I'm going to go to your LinkedIn profile, or you can go to Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever, right? I'm going to go to your LinkedIn profile because you and I are, and if you're not connected with your clients on LinkedIn, make that happen today. They're your client. The reason I want to connect with my client on LinkedIn is, let me ask you a question. We never met, right, prior to this meeting? Okay. So, do you trust me?
I would have to get to know you more before I could say that.
Bingo. So if I wanted to borrow this phone and download all the contacts, would you be okay with that?
No.
Absolutely not, right? Okay? Now, if you and I had known each other for a year as a customer, would you let me do it then?
It'd definitely be an option.
Hey, but you probably wouldn't let me do it, right? So, but if I'm connected to my client on LinkedIn, I've got their contacts. Okay? And so now that I know who my perfect client is, I know what the avatar is, I'm going to go to my client's LinkedIn and I'm going to type in the keyword, in my case, president. And I'm going to get a list of all the people that they're directly connected to that have the title president. And for what I do is I have Word on one screen, I have LinkedIn on here, and I'm cutting and pasting, and I want 10 names. I'm doing a screenshot of the